The real numbers with youth impact. Where does St. John really sit in Canada's violent crime rankings? Why is St. John, New Brunswick, never included in those national crime charts? Every single year, we see those heat map graphics ranking Canadian cities for safety. Ottawa, Toronto, Halifax, even Winnipeg dominates the headlines. But St. John, the oldest incorporated city in Canada, is somehow always missing. And here's the truth. St. John is a Census Metropolitan Area. It absolutely qualifies to be in those rankings. The population is large enough, the statistics exist, and our numbers are right there in the official database. So why are we left off? Whenever regular people point out that crime is getting worse, the institutional response is always to tell us we're wrong. To look at the national charts and see that crime across Canada actually dropped by 4%. But our lived experience tells a completely different story. And the hard numbers back us up. While the national average dropped, St. John's overall severity index climbed by nearly 10%, continuing a multi-year upward trend that stands out significantly on the East Coast. When it comes to tracking actual violent severity, St. John's official index score sits at 70.86, up over 5% from last year. Look at the chart to see how that stacks up against the national baseline. Canada's overall national average baseline for violent crime severity is 99.87. While St. John sits below that national baseline, our numbers are steadily climbing toward it, tracking higher than other major centers like Ottawa, which sits at 67.44. But if you dig even deeper into the data, the real systemic failure comes to light. While youth violent crime dropped across most of Canada, St. John's Youth Violent Crime Severity Index stands stubbornly high at a score of 83.28. Our numbers aren't just jumping because of property damage or petty theft. They are being driven up because our youth are being left behind, falling into a cycle of severe weapon-fueled violence without the community intervention or resources to stop it. Look at what's happening right here on our streets. Just look at the recent major crime logs. We've seen an escalation of knife violence right in our uptown on Wellington Row that left one man dead and another fighting for his life in the hospital. Less than 24 hours later, another weapon-fueled altercation broke out on Sydney Street, sending 2 more people to the ER, right alongside police alerts warning citizens about residential nighttime prowlers. For a city our size, these constant violent disruptions completely drive up our local severity index, yet St. John remains totally invisible on the national graphics. Why does this matter? Because when governments, policymakers, and think tanks leave a city out of the data due to arbitrary population cutoffs, funding decisions get skewed, crime trends get hidden, communities get ignored, and crucial federal resources don't get allocated where they are needed most. St. John families and our youth are being impacted by rising crime, and this city deserves to be represented accurately. Leaving us off the list doesn't make our streets any safer. It just hides the problem. This is the Canadian Citizens Journal.